Welcome to Tuesdays with Gary. I'm Gary Lanham. I'm the team leader of the Gary Lanham Group at Coldwell Banker, Fort Lauderdale Beach office. And happy 4th of July. I mean, we've got the 4th of July holiday coming up, and it's normally a time when it's pretty daggone hot. We know we're in the middle of hurricane season right now. And as it gets hot, we have to worry about how do we stay cool and cool in place. And especially these days, because we've got the hurricane season. We've got excess strain on our air conditioner. So I couldn't think of a better person to bring on my show today than Thurman Mintz, who's a friend of mine who runs Mintz Cooling and Heating Company. And without further ado, let me introduce Thurman to you today. Thurman, welcome to the show.
Hey, Gary, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Busy, yes.
Well, I can only imagine how busy you're doing. So tell me, we got a lot of new environments going on here. So everybody's talking about COVID. They're talking about quarantining. Has that affected your business at all?
It has. We've only been able to do less and less service calls because it takes more and more time to, boot up and mask up and keep our distances from our customers. So all these things take extra time.
All these things. So what about personally, Thurman? I know you got a boat. Are you taking any time for yourself to get out there and enjoy the water and do some fishing?
I've got to go out once in the last 3 weeks. So, I mean, we're pretty much 7 days a week right now. So it's a little crazy.
So you're slammed with business right now.
Yes, sir.
So when you go to see your customers, I'm sure there are certain safety practices that you use. Would you mind sharing with our viewers today some of the things you do when you make an appointment and show up at the customer's house?
Yeah, sure. So number one, we always wear masks. We have booties we put on our shoes, which are thrown away after each customer because they're just, they're like one-time use. We try to keep all our tools and hands and everything clean. Even my guys, they bring 2 or 3 shirts with them per day so they can change their shirts out to keep fresh. That's pretty much what we do.
That's pretty great. So in the middle of the summer like this, are you going out mostly now for like emergency calls? Are there repairs, or do you have new home buyers and sellers who have to get their AC in place before the new buyers moves into the house?
We actually do both. We do a lot of service calls. We have a lot of service contracts. We work a lot with the realty companies, as far as yourself, as you know. So we like to come in and do inspections for the sellers and the buyers and make sure everybody's happy with and knows what they're getting when they buy or sell.
So I got to tell a really great story about Thurman. So I had a listing over here in Coral Ridge Isles, and the sellers had moved out, and they set the thermostat at 80 degrees. And they moved out 2 days before the walkthrough. And on the day of the walkthrough, the buyers and the buyer's agent walked through, and the AC was off. So I showed up at the closing. You may remember this, Thurman.
I
showed up at the closing, and that buyer's agent was madder than a wet hen. And she goes, "We're not closing this thing unless you escrow $5,000 on the table to make sure my buyers can move into a nice air-conditioned home with a brand new AC system." I think I got that message, and I texted you, called you. I said, "Hey, Thurman, I got an emergency. Can you go over to this address?" And you may want to tell us the rest of what happened.
Well, I got over there, and it was just a breaker trip or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but it was something very minor, simple. So we reset everything and turned it on, and everybody was happy. Everybody was upset and cussing and going crazy, but an hour later, everybody was fine, and it was a good turnout.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. And, for those of you who are watching now, and you got a situation, especially if you're a realtor, and something goes wrong for one of your closings and the AC's off, call Thurman Mintz, because he'll help save you and save the deal and make sure you close that day. Now, we were lucky because Thurman and I have a relationship. I refer all my customers to him. But if you don't have a relationship with an air conditioning guy, you should start setting one up. We're the summertime now. We need to make sure that all these houses stay cool, not only to live there, but also to sell and occupy them to the next buyer. I really appreciate your help on that, Thurman.
Oh, you're more than welcome, Gary.
So
It's what we do. You know what I mean?
it's what you do.
It's what we do.
So Thurman, if you wouldn't mind, I want to ask you some questions about, the different kinds of air conditioning we see down here in South Florida. Like I'm from Virginia, and we didn't have as hot of summers as we have down here. And sometimes we had what we call window bangers, which was basically my parents got the air conditioning in their bedroom, and the kids suffered through the summer until we finally got central air conditioning. But it was nothing like the kind of capacity or the requirement that occurs in South Florida. So can you tell me about some of the evolution of these systems? For example, I know that in a lot of houses down here where they went from window units, they went to something called a package unit. Can you tell me what that is exactly? And is it a very energy efficient air conditioner, and does it have a SEER rating at all?
Sure. Package units are great for when you don't have room inside the house or the attic to put a air handler, which would be a part of an air conditioner. Basically, you have an indoor part and an outdoor part, typically, and a package unit is both of those pieces put together that sits outside that you can tie into your existing ductwork. They're fairly efficient. They are the highest rating one you can get at this point is 14 SEER, which, as of today's standards, is the lowest you can get. So they're not that efficient.
So as we move up the line, then we know that we have the package unit, and we see some houses where they've gone central air conditioning. They have the space inside the home, and they typically start off with a one-zone system. Can you talk about that a little bit, and the amount of square footage of cooling that provides, and when you know that one zone won't work for you?
Sure. So you go from the package unit to the split system, which the air handler is gonna be like in a closet. Hopefully it's not in an attic. Attics are not a good place to put something that makes cold air, as you can imagine. So closets are preferred. So the air handler would be in a closet hooked to your ductwork, tied into the outdoor system by refrigerant tubing. And it's a pretty good system. You can get all the way up to a 20 SEER system with that kind of system. But you can't control the room separately. Whatever you set the thermostat on, that entire house is dedicated to that temperature.
So is that the same case if you have like a two-zone house, or could you actually control it a little better with two separate zones?
With two zones, you would have to have two complete air-sea systems, two air handlers, two condensers.
Okay.
You'd have two thermostats.
Okay.
You could have three systems, four systems. This depends on the size of the house. So you got an upstairs and a downstairs, right? So you'd want one for upstairs, you'd want one for downstairs to be able for it to do the job effectively. If you only had one system, depending on where you put the thermostat, you're either going to be hot upstairs or cold downstairs, because you only have one system, right? So that's where that comes into play.
So I'm setting you up for like your passion, your the thing, the latest, greatest, and how do we get each room the coldest, and how do we save money at the same time? Go ahead, Thurman, tell us about the splits.
Okay, so I am a Mitsubishi Elite Diamond dealer for South Florida. So that means Mitsubishi Heating and Cooling Electric has put the confidence in me and sent me to all the schools and training to sell and install their equipment. This stuff is so amazing. It is, you can put one in each room. You can control each room completely separate. You can have, say you got a 3-bedroom house, a family room, a kitchen, You can make each bedroom, you can make one bedroom at 80, you can make another bedroom at 60, you can make another bedroom at 70. You can make the living area 67, whatever you want to do. And each one is completely separate. Um, and the cost of running this is really super cheap. I give you an example. In my house, I have 5 systems, 5 separate systems, and my electric bill is running about $168 a month in the summertime. And when I used to have 2 central systems, as we talked about before, with air handlers inside and condensers outside, and my bill is around 700. So it's a
Wow.
huge savings. And these are typically 24 SEER systems.
That's what I was going to ask you. So these splits, the miniature systems, give you a much higher energy efficiency. So I guess that's why you're using less electricity. Your house stays colder, and you've become a firm believer in that.
Yes, sir. Plus, I mean, you gotta imagine the air is coming right off the coils into the room. I mean, on a typical central AC system, you're pumping cold air through a piece of ductwork that's in a 150-degree attic. It just
Wow.
doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about
Wow.
it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, a little crazy, right?
That's really crazy. So let's change. Let's use those split systems. Let's talk about central air as well. And air quality. If there's ever a time for people to be interested in air quality, it's probably right now.
Yes.
Whether it's bacteria, whether it's germs, whether it's COVID or whatever. Are there any systems that you utilize on a central air conditioning system as well as on a split system that will actually purify the air and help a lot of our customers? A lot of them, by the way, move down here from the Northeast, and they're not used to plants that bloom all year long, so they have allergies. Can you talk a little bit about that, Thurman?
Yes, sir. So we have systems called they're made through APCO. It's actually a USA based company out of Jupiter, Florida. Um, they go under APCO, but they're under fresh air. So they have UV lighting that we can install inside the air handlers on the mini splits or the central units or the package units. They have applications for all 3 systems. And basically they sterilize the air that passes through the cabinet. They also have one system that goes into your ductwork that has a UV light attached to it, and also filters out the smells, like you could cook a piece of fish, and 5 minutes later you're not going to smell it throughout the whole house. It's not instantaneous, but it does take the odors away. We put them in a lot of smokers' homes, so because they don't want their guests to walk into their house and say, "Oh, you're a smoker." So we put them in their homes, and you can walk in these people's houses. You'd never know they smoked. They really work great.
So I think we actually have a slide of that UV light, and maybe we can continue to talk a little bit about that. I know that you and I have some friends who smoke, and one of our friends, Barbara, whenever I go to her house, I never smell smoke. It's just amazing to me. How does that happen?
Okay, so what we're seeing on the slide right now is the one I was talking about. So it has this is the deodorizer and the UV light. So basically you get 2 UV lights. One goes in the ductwork, one goes in the air handler, so you're double doing everything. And then it has a charcoal filter that is self-cleaning, which absorbs all the odors in the air. I think I have a slide that shows that, if you could put that up.
There it is.
Yeah, so this is what it sterilizes all the germs. It kills mold, bacteria, viruses, pollen. One of my doctor friends actually recommends me for some of his patients that have asthma. It doesn't, of course, cure their asthma, but when they're in their own home, they breathe a lot better. And we've done this over and over and over again, and it actually does help the people.
I know I've got one installed at my house.
That's a really great thing.
Yeah, I know you installed one at my house, and I remember having my dogs, and I never smelled like I had wet dog in my house. And when I cook, the smell goes away all the time. It almost is like uncanny how clean it always feels. It's fresh, you know.
Well, I mean, that especially in a COVID environment, when you're in your own home, you want to feel safe, and you
Right.
want to be breathing clean air. You know what I'm saying? So you can sleep better at night. You wake up in the morning, your head's not all stuffy and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good thing.
I totally get it. So Thurman, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I've gotten the benefit of working with you personally, and I send all my customers to you. Can you give me a summary of why you think your company is different than the other AC companies out there?
Well, Gary, that's pretty easy. Contractors, AC contractors especially, have a bad name in South Florida just because it's South Florida. Okay, there's a lot of unscrupulous con type people down here. They come down here for a year and try to get as much money as they can. They disappear. I have an ex-military background through the Air Force. Best thing I ever did in my younger life. But we have integrity, and we're here for the customer. We're here for the long run, and it's our job to save you money and do the right thing and be here for you, as like a friend and neighbor, a family would be. That's why we have such good response on the Nextdoor app. But just still, at the end of the day, it boils down to integrity. So that's basically our mission statement.
And it works, and it definitely works. I mean, the rave reviews I hear back from my customers, and just whenever you are at one of the jobs, I always hear back from you as far as this is what happened, this is how we solved it, and I really appreciate that. So Thurman, if other realtors or homeowners, for that matter, have a break in their system or need an emergency, how can they contact you? What's the easiest way to contact you?
They can either send me an email at Thurman at acfloridamintz.com. I have a 1-800 number. They can reach out to me on Facebook. They can call or text, because my number that you see on the screen is a cell phone. So any which way they want to reach out to me, we will get it. They can even go on my website, and there's an option on my website to contact us, and it'll send me an email, and we will call you. See what we can do to help you out.
Well, that's really great. I got to tell one more story about you, because to me it's the epitome of who you are and how you do business. So we had first gotten to know each other, I don't know, 6 years ago, and I had a customer on the beach in a high rise, and we had to go in and fix the unit so we could show the unit to sell the unit. And that moment of reckoning comes, like you and I show up at the guard gate, or actually the guard desk in this situation. And the guards, was like, he wasn't very friendly to you or me. And he was like throwing up all these barriers. So he looked at you and he said, well, I'm going to need your license. I'm going to need your insurance card. And do you remember that situation, Thurman?
I do, Gary. That was funny. We call them people the condo Nazis. They don't want nobody in there except their own people, right? It's the whole thing. So it was very simple. I have all these things in place. So one quick call to my insurance agent, and he printed it out. Well, he didn't print it. He made the documents and emailed them right over to the guy, and the guy was like, "How'd you do that?" I go, "I guess you gotta let us in now, don't you?" So that was pretty funny.
It was really funny. And before, people talk about using the cloud and exchanging information on the cloud, and we do that all the time now. But I got to tell you, as somebody who had just gotten to know you, and you pulled your phone out and shared those documents with that guy like that, I mean, we got in, we solved the problem. My customer, by the way, the customer sold that daggone unit thanks to you. And I really appreciate the fact that you go beyond the extra mile to help my customers and to help me and to make me look good. I appreciate that.
Well, you're more than welcome, Gary. I don't do it just because you're my friend or I've known you a long time. I do the same thing for somebody I just met yesterday. So this is where the integrity comes in. Doing the right thing.
I understand. Well, Thurman, I really appreciate you being with us today, and hopefully this is a good experience. I know this is probably a new experience for you.
It's very new. I'm a little nervous, I got to tell you. I'm not used to being on the internet or whatever you want to call it. So
I think you did great.
I'm making you proud. So that's all I can. I'm doing the best I can.
So I'd like to thank Thurman Mintz, who's been our guest today, who's the president of Mintz Heating and Cooling in South Florida. We'll make sure we display his contact information again. And I also want to thank Chitachi Egwu, who is our videographer. So we use StreamYard for these events. Chitachi is in Poinsett Heights. Thurman is down in Shady Banks. I'm in Coral Ridge Isles, and she makes it happen for us. The slides get sent to Chitachi. She shows the slides. We have an interactive program every week. So please, if you enjoyed today's show, join us next Tuesday. It'll be Tuesdays with Gary, and it'll be after the 4th of July, and we have some special guests for you. Without further ado, Thurman, thank you again. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, Gary. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you so much. And Chitachi, thank you very much. And without further ado, we're going to sign off today. I'm Gary Lanham. I'm the team leader of the Gary Lanham Group at Coldwell Banker Fort Lauderdale Beach office. I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Gary.